context. If we have questions or comments for the speakers, okay, now I'm going to come from the left. And from the left, I go to Maldives. Yes, sir. Don't worry, I see. And please make it brief, straight to the point. 30 seconds, maybe 15.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very brief question. I like the word contextualization of education, right? And it is very important. Local and involving local people, local context is very important. In our country, for example, our country is Maldives. Maldives, we have one school on one island. The island itself can be a school itself, but many islands are good to contextualize, but there are some islands where we have this extremism, religious extremism. If we want to contextualize, we will have to take that into account. My question is whether that type of contextualization is appropriate in our education right now. Because we are educating our children for the future, and we want everybody to think the whole world as us, not as us and them. So that is my question. I would like if you could say something on that.
Thank you, sir. You are stepping on the lion's tail. Okay, ma'am, Uganda.
Thank you very much. I just want to supplement on what the panelists have said on the conditions for success, which have been left out, like safety. Safety is very important, not physical safety, but also learners feeling welcomed, supported, and respected. Once those are achieved, learners can get success or can achieve success. Another one is engagement. Learners love to be engaged. This can promote critical thinking, problem solving, and also collaboration. They collaborate and promote effective communication. Another one could be that learners need to be supported by teachers, by parents, by community. They need also to see connection between the home and the school, so that they can align their learning. And another thing we should think about are the pedagogy. What are the pedagogies used by teachers? We should encourage so much the culturally responsive pedagogies. That's where learners can make connections so that they enjoy their learning. And I remember yesterday the Prime Minister of Uganda said that they are always challenged by the society. Right. But I think we need to re-educate the society, to show them that this is what we want to see. This is the ideal person we want to see, and these are the values we want to see in the ideal person, the African ideal person. And these are the things which should be inculcated in the learners. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the additions there. I think the gentleman in the cap at the back there, I thought your hand was up earlier on. Yes, sir. No, that, okay. Are you giving that up? Yes, I thought. So please, 30 seconds.
Merci, excusez-moi. Bon, pour intervenir, notre collègue avait mentionné tout à l'heure que finalement, il faut créer normalement la science n'est pas particularité, c'est pas une particularité européenne, c'est quelque chose d'universel. Et donc effectivement, c'est vrai qu'en Afrique, lorsqu'elle avait évoqué cela, qu'il faut rechercher des talents, qu'il faut effectivement faire consolider, renforcer et créer des talents qui puissent tirer de l'Afrique vers le haut. Mais il y a une réalité. Tout à l'heure, lors de la représentation des politiques, il y avait, c'était les Balao, normalement, il y a le brain drain. Comment faudrait-il maintenir ces cadres et ces intellectuels pour que finalement on puisse y arriver? Parce que là aussi, c'est un autre challenge.
Thank you very much. He had on the challenge of a brain drain. How do we succeed with all this in the presence of brain drain? Okay? So, sir, I come to you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Carry on.
I just wanted to say that this panel touches on a very important topic because I think there is a debate nowadays between those that think that what we have to do when we are doing research or teaching is to think internationally. I mean, to sort of imitate the big universities, the very famous universities, and on the other side, that we have, as we have heard, I mean, to act locally, to adapt our universities, perhaps in this case, to the local context. I think it is a false debate, because what we have to do is that famous saying that says that think internationally, act locally. I think to be able to serve your local context, you have to be aware of what is happening in the world, but at the same time, be able to distinguish between what has happened in the world and what is going on in your local context. I just wanted to say that we should not follow, I mean, that false debate between one side or the other. I think there is the need of a good mix.
Thank you very much, sir. That's a good comment added on there. And it's great to sit in the middle. I went from right to left. Now I'm coming from left to right, and you keep getting the slot because you're in the middle. Okay, can I take the last two people, and then you can quickly speak? Is that okay? All right, so just right there. Yes, sir. And I'll take you, ma'am, right after. Okay, while he's looking for a microphone, maybe you should go ahead. Yes, Anne, please, carry on. Fantastic. Thank you very much. How do we use e-technology? Yes, I'm back to you.
Je vous remercie beaucoup et je remercie tous les intervenants. Je voulais juste peut-être préciser, en réponse à toutes les interventions suivantes, que finalement ce qu'il faut adapter, c'est la transmission des connaissances, et c'est le contexte local, c'est sur ce mouvement-là en fait qu'il est adaptable, c'est-à-dire qu'on peut adapter la façon dont le système éducatif s'adresse à la plus large population possible, que ce soit les enfants, les adolescents ou les adultes pour l'éducation continuée, l'éducation, la formation pour adultes. Les contenus, les connaissances, je crois que ça a été abordé, finalement elles deviennent de plus en plus mondiales, internationales. Donc elles sont à la fois locales et à la fois internationales. C'est ce qu'il faut transmettre, la capacité effectivement d'un pays, une population à réussir et à montrer à quel point elle est performante, en étant ouverte sur tout ce qui se passe à l'extérieur. Donc du coup la contextualisation, il me semble qu'elle porte, et je crois que ça a été quand même dit, et c'est bien le sujet, il me semble, de l'intervention, c'est que la contextualisation porte essentiellement sur la transmission, c'est-à-dire localement comment, en tant qu'intervenant dans un système scolaire, je fais pour que tous les enfants, tous les adultes puissent avoir accès à une connaissance qui, elle, par contre, peut être à la fois locale et mondiale.
Okay, merci. Okay, so now there's so many good things to talk about, but I've refrained from saying anything because I want to give you all the time to speak. So, who wants to go first? Okay. Jackie, you first. Ladies first.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. You can hear me, right? You're not responding. Are you hearing me? Yes, thank you. So I think many of the things we've had are actually statements and comments and not specific question. And I think to sum it all up is to say I agree with everybody in terms of their input. But let me just specifically just touch on it just so that we try and address the issue or reiterate what we've had. I think the first question, in spite of it sounding like a comment, is there are certain contexts that you cannot include. For instance, religious extremism. And for me, why I would say this distinctively and categorically, it's just, we pick from the earlier presenter who said that there's a sense of humanity that is required in education. Now, if you have that sense of humanity in the hearts of the learners, of the teachers, of the policymakers, of governments, then any form of extremism needs to be avoided. It is definitely not balanced if it is extreme. So for me, I would categorically say that the contextual inclusion of aspects that promote well-being of humanity and of cohesion and of prospering the nations are the aspects that needs to be contextualized in education, and not anything that does the opposite. The lady that raised Uganda, the lady that raised the issue of, we left out certain things, issues of safety, of engaging the learners, connecting the home and the school, the values that we need to inculcate, as well as the ideals, as well as the pedagogy and the cultural responsiveness. If you looked at what I was saying, probably when you only have 5 minutes to speak, you cut out a lot of things and a lot of explanation. But what I'm saying is the moment you set out local priorities so that you have better capacity and expertise of people that are being educated, then you have to consider all these things. It is indeed a priority, and I do agree fully with her that these aspects are critical and must not be left out. Remember, we say that students are not empty vessels, and they have to be engaged and see the relevance of the education they're going through. Yes, indeed, science is universal, and I like what the speaker said, that there is a political connection to brain drain. But this is where you twist it and use a negative for your positive to try and find ways the continent can actually gain from the brain drain and not necessarily lose completely out of it. But the thing that we need to do as a continent to be able to ensure that very high qualified professionals do not leave is to ensure we have the infrastructure and the environment that would be attractive to them as well. That might take time, but that does not mean that while we are doing that, they are completely useless or locked out from contributing not just to the education, but to the well-being of the continent. So I like the political angle of it. The last two things I think I'll just touch on slightly. Yes, we must think internationally and act globally because that's how we bring relevance. The use of e-technologies is critical because that's the surest way of getting more people in and getting more people touched with the type of education that we want to propagate. So I will wholeheartedly go for virtual education, e-learning, to provide e-platforms that information can be spread more quickly, easily, and interactively. And lastly, I think the conclusion is that the access of global to ensure that we impact the local. Without a doubt, there's no argument from me, so I endorse what the last speaker said. Thank you.
1 minute. 1 minute. Thank you for your comments and recommendation, and it is very fruitful sharing. This is the purpose of this meeting, to share the knowledge and information and to exchange the experience. I think Dr. Jackie, she answered all your question and recommendation. Just I want to say something as a conclusion. Education is not, it is have a different dimension or different partners. not only the school or the system, but also the community, they have a great impact in order to success. So our panel, it was how, okay, the successful, okay, how our school to be successful at the end, within using or the context, local context, to succeed or to get to reach at the objective. So we have to cooperate to each other. The community should take part in developing and sharing the knowledge. They have to contribute. Without the contribution of the community, we cannot we cannot reach the end of the goals of education. Thank you for your sharing and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Subagli. Now please a round of applause for both of them. I think they've done very well.